Hello. So today's topic is what the fuck compassion? And what the fuck compassion because I feel like compassion is just rarely understood the way that it should be. Sometimes we think compassion means that everything's okay, that that you should just accept everything exactly as it is and no change should be made. So at that point, the first step is distinguishing between equanimity and compassion. And equanimity means that it's okay to feel anything that I'm feeling. It's okay to experience anything that I'm experiencing. I can accept my present moment experience right now, exactly as it is, without changing anything. And that's totally okay. But it's very much about the internal experience of something, that I can allow an experience to arise inside of me without being like, oh no, this isn't okay, I can't be having this. Or without trying to create a change in the world because of the discomfort that you feel inside. Because what happens when we try to change the world based on our own discomfort is that we end up adapting the world to our own pathology often. We adapt the world so that we don't have to change. And often the ways that we would change in order to make our own discomfort okay would actually be more beautiful. And sometimes that looks like knowing that I'm safe even though I may not feel safe, right? Like if someone said something to me and I feel uncomfortable on the inside, and we're not talking about any situation with any sort of physical danger. We're talking about, someone says, oh, you forgot to do the dishes last night, and you feel deeply uncomfortable. And equanimity is, okay, can I be with that discomfort? And can that be okay? Can I survive this discomfort? Is it okay that I'm feeling this discomfort? And then the action that you take on that is either just feeling the feeling or doing something, right? Or saying, oh shit, I'm sorry, I forgot to do the dishes. Or whatever it might be. And it may actually be something like, well, you don't do the dishes basically every night. And yes, one time I did leave mine, but I think we can, call it even. Whatever it may be. But the sense of compassion is really that you can make space inside of yourself for the experience that you're having so that your action comes from discernment rather than from reactivity. So that's like first layer of compassion. Second layer of compassion is like, what's the difference between what is sometimes called idiot compassion and true compassion? And I really love this quote from Gabrielle Roth, who's a wonderful dancer who created a dance form that integrates what I would say is like emotional and somatic process into the process of dance. If you've heard of ecstatic dance, that's kind of like a kind of generic offshoot of her work, which is more specified and more of a particular process. But she's been known to have said that compassion is whatever gets someone to the next step of their spiritual journey. And that's kind of radical. Like often when we think of compassion, we think of being nice, or maybe we think of being kind. But to say compassion is whatever gets us to the next step of our journey, like that's a little extreme, right? Like there are a lot of things that happen that we might think are terrible things, but they get us to the next step of our journey. And that doesn't mean you should make terrible things happen. I just want to be clear. But there's a way that it can be more important to get to the next step of our journey than to feel good or to feel comfortable in particular. There's also a way you can distinguish, even just in like vernacular English, between being nice and being kind. And to me, being nice is usually more superficial. You don't know what's going on under the surface. And being kind can not seem nice, because to me, being kind is being more honest. One of my favorite things I ever read that I've really taken to heart was from the book Difficult Conversations. And it was basically the idea that you can be 100% kind and 100% honest. And in my mind, there'd always been a trade-off. Either you can be kind or you can be honest, but you can't be both. And so really holding on to that and really finding the way that I could be kind while being honest, or be honest while being kind, felt like a huge possibility space opened up for me. And I want to offer that as an option, that it doesn't have to be a trade-off between being honest and being kind. So we have equanimity and compassion, how to allow yourself to feel while also taking action. We have idiot compassion and true compassion. Oh wow, that's exciting. Idiot compassion being nice, being like, yeah, everything's okay, that's all good, like we'll just flow with it, like yeah, we can include that, we can include anything. And then at some point, like, weird shit starts happening, and like there's very much a sense of like, no, like that's not okay, actually. That's not okay. And this is also the point at which it becomes really important to be clear about your objectives and clear about what you're trying to build or where you're trying to get. Because if you don't have that, all of the default patterns of trying to be socially acceptable are going to stay in play. And it's really only when either we feel the pain of what those patterns create, or we feel the beauty of what we want to create, that we start being willing to adjust a lot of these patterns. And so if you have the end goal of having like a healthy relationship, then you're not going to say, yeah, anything goes. Because I don't know anyone who's at a level of spiritual accomplishment that they could actually be okay with anything. And even just to say that that would be a level of spiritual accomplishment, I feel like somehow misplaces what spirituality is, especially in relation to psychology. And there's a way that, like, at least in the Zen tradition, like, teachers are very strict, right? It's like the opposite of like kind of like the new age Western acceptance that burgeoned in the 70s and 80s. It's really the sense of like, no, you cannot do that. No, that's not okay. Here's exactly how you will do everything. And to me, that's like kind of the balance of a lot of the places we've ended up in the current moment around Western spirituality. It's kind of like radical openness, or the sense that you ought to be open, you should be open, that being open is good and being closed is bad. And I think we have a real possibility, a real opportunity to be really honest about what we want to create, and then really pragmatic about what actually gets us to that point. And there are all sorts of ways that we'll want to delude ourselves around that we'll want to say, no, this will get me there, that'll get me there, or this isn't a problem, that's not a problem. But when we really look at or ride the wave of that long-term eventuality, we get to find out whether or not it got us where we hoped it would. Yeah. It's good stuff. What the fuck compassion. I'll close it there for now.